Hear that? Is that America cheering or a sausage patty sizzling to perfection? It's time to cheer for Egg McMuffin and fresh cracked eggs at McDonald's. It's time to wake up to the aroma of freshly baked biscuits and treat yourself to a real honest-to-goodness morning meal. Breakfast, it's on at McDonald's. Now get any breakfast sandwich for just $2. Available only through the app. Mobile order and pay available at participating McDonald's. McD app download and registration required.
At T-Mobile, we believe in putting people first by treating them right. So we've upped the benefits without upping the price. With Magenta Max, you get our best plan for 5G with unlimited premium data that can't slow down based on how much smartphone data you use. Plus, you'll pay zero cost to switch. And bring your phone. We'll pay it off up to $800. Only at T-Mobile.
Capable device required for 5G. Activate up to 4K or video streams at 480p. 40 gigs high-speed tethering. Up to $800 via virtual prepaid card. Allow 15 days. Support charges waived. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. I recently joined as a member, and you can too. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co. And when you go to apply and they ask you, how did you hear about Podgo? Make sure you tell them that the Vault Classic Music Review sent you.
Welcome to the Vault Podcast, Classic Music Reviews, presented by IV Creative. Now, here's your hosts, B. Cox and the crew.
Greetings and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Vault Podcast, Classic Music Reviews, presented by IV Creative. It's a perspective on the classics from a fresh point of view. We appreciate you for taking your time and lending your ears to our perspective. You could be anywhere listening to anything, but you're right here with us, so we thank you. With you today is yours truly, B. Cox, and with me, I have the crew. With me here once again, I got my guy, the creator and host of Raw Sex Podcast, Dominique Marks, a.k.a. Cousin Damo. Y'all make sure y'all catch Raw Sex Podcast every Friday, dropping some new content for y'all. Some very good topics these last few weeks. Make sure y'all definitely go check them out. Think y'all be very entertaining, and make sure y'all following Raw Sex Podcast on Instagram, Raw Sex Podcast, and on Twitter, Raw Sex Podcast 1. Hey, my man got the hot topics out there, especially for those of y'all talking in that relationship stuff. So definitely gonna make sure you talk to my man and holler at him, man. Follow him on Instagram and follow him on Twitter. He's a great follow. He always has some great quotes and nuggets of wisdom out there for y'all to follow. And of course, always we have here my boy J.O. in the place to be. It's great to have y'all back here once again, especially on this momentous occasion that we're celebrating, because, you know, we do a lot of good albums here on The Vault. I mean, everybody knows what we do. It's hashtag Open The Vault, hashtag nothing but the classics. We talk about it all the time. We only deal with the classics and those that are potentially classics. So it's only fitting that we all get together and talk about this album today. And it's amazing, really, where we've reached at in a point in history that we're celebrating such a milestone for this album. So, Damo, Jay, we're going to take a trip back to 20 years ago. And we're going to go back to September 11th, 2001. A date everybody knows. A date, as they say, that will forever live on in infamy because of obvious reasons. But also a date that this album was released, and coincidentally that it came out on this particular date. I'm talking about none other than the sixth studio album of Jay-Z, none other than The Blueprint. Released on that day of September 11th, 2001, corresponding almost exactly with the September 11th terrorist attacks that happened in New York and in D.C. and then also in Pennsylvania. So the recording for this happened between May and July 2001 at Baseline Studios in Manhattan in New York City, and also Manhattan Center Studios. Runtime of 63 minutes and 25 seconds on Roc-A-Fella Records and Def Jam. Executive producers, Jay-Z, Damon Dash, Kareem Biggs Burt. The associate producers on this, an all-star cast. Kanye West, Just Blaze, Eminem, Bink, Timbaland, even Michael Jackson, and also the track masters, producing tracks on this as well. Runtime of 63 minutes and a track listing of 13 tracks and 2 hidden tracks with Breathe Easy, Lyrical Exercise, and Girls, Girls, Girls Part 2. Lots to say about this album, guys, as you obviously know. 20th anniversary for an album like this is a big deal, considering the album that we're talking about. The singles as well for Blueprint, Izzo, or HOVA, released August in 2001. Girls, 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 which came out in October 2001. Jigga That Nigga, which came out in January 2002. And then the last single, Song Cry, which came out in April of 2002. So the background on this, Blueprint was reportedly cut in 2 weeks. Jay-Z allegedly writing the lyrics in 2 days, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. There was a lot of effort that went into this album production-wise, and it did very, very well. Sold over 427,000 copies in the opening week, and then eventually was #1 on the U.S. charts, and then it was certified 2 times platinum. And in 2019, it was selected by Library of Congress as for preservation in the National Recording Registry for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Here we go, guys. The Blueprint by Jay-Z. Hard to believe it's been 20 years, not just for 9/11, but then also for this album. An album that was struck all of us, as Damo likes to call it in his show, our collegiate years. You know, those of us the times that we were in college, and for Damo when he was, you know, getting ready to do his Navy thing, in those times and years of our youth. So I just want to get to y'all, man, just to get y'all feelings on the album, of course, when it first came out, and then how it stuck with you in the 20 years since it's been out. So I'll go ahead and I'll start with you, Damo. So Blueprint, 20 years ago, man, what did you first think about it when it came out, and how has it stuck with you since then?
The name says it all. The Blueprint. And I was getting ready for an extra year at Fairmont High School. You know, on the low, nobody ain't really know except for B and probably Carlton, and I was all of everybody that really know. I could have went to summer school, but I didn't feel like doing that shit. I just wanted to work, so I was like, I ain't doing that, and I don't got no plan. This is what happens when you don't have a plan. So I was like, I could go to work half day after school. All right, whatever, still make the same money just about. So I remember this album dropped, and remember 9/11, you can't forget that. And then back then, the album was just, you know, all them singles on there, and it was definitely laid out very well. I think 9/11, after the fact, put a more of a, like, dang, he dropped his album on 9/11. Like, you know what I'm saying? It made it more of an aura around the album that it probably wouldn't have had. It was a classic, but the aura around it even grew even more because of it being the date of everything that transpired.
I definitely agree. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I say, it's my second favorite Jay-Z album.
Okay. Indeed. Jay, so, you know, we know it, man. We know what happened right around 9/11 when we were in school. You know, that the atmosphere that surrounded the campus of that particular day, but then the days afterwards, you know, what had happened. So give us your breakdown of your recollections of when Blueprint first came out, and then how it stuck with you the next 20 years.
Oh, for sure. So, like, you know, like you were saying, like, you know, at Morgan State University, and of course, I think, you know, both me and you remember that date vividly, as far as, like, you know, what it transpired. And then, but I didn't actually cop the album on that day. I think I might have done it maybe the day after. Yeah, it had to be like the day after, because they pretty much like kicked me out of like every building on 9/11. You know what I'm saying? Like, we was all trying to watch the events, and, like, you know, our families be from DC and DC area and everything like that. Like, it's like we couldn't get through to anybody. You know what I'm saying? And I was calling back home like crazy, just like around the way calls. I couldn't get through to anybody. So, like, because I remember, like, that day I actually went to our bookstore during our time in Morgan. You know what I'm saying? The hole in the wall joint we all had to go to be cramped up in there like sardines.
And McKeldin.
McKeldin. So, like, and I remember it was like, you know, so they had that one little section for CDs, like right before you hit like I think what actual books were we could purchase. So I remember going up in there and copping the joint, taking it back to my dorm, listening to it, and was just taken aback by, like, you know, of course, like, the joint be a fire and everything like that, but, like, the whole thing as far as, like, which kind of, like, really brought forth, like, the beef between him and Nas to the you know what I'm saying, forefront. Yeah, I mean, it like, you know, Don was saying, pretty much added to the mystique of that album. And then even Jay-Z said it. He was like, his album dropped the same day as the Twin Towers. That was like a bar that always stuck with me.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
Like, I mean, fast forward to now, I mean, it still has that. It still holds up, has an integrity, like the lyrics. I mean, nothing, honestly, doesn't even sound dated, except in the fact, like, you know, I feel like more was done in the way of production back then. You know what I'm saying? Like those Just Blaze beats, Kanye and everything like that. But you know, what I mean, it's one of them joints that really stood the test of time.
Yeah, it's man, that the recollections of that day are still vivid even 20 years afterwards. I remember that 9/11 was such a big moment that I actually forgot the album was coming out. And it was such a big thing that I think when I finally laid my head down to sleep that night, I think before I went to bed, the last thing was like, oh, Jay was supposed to drop today, right? I wonder if he still did. And then the way I was reminded was being around campus like 2 and 3 days later, like being around Rawlins, because I lived in Rawlins at that time, Jay, walking around campus and seeing people taking that back road from Argonne, heading over to either Blount or Rawlins, and then hearing like coming up folks up Cold Spring, riding over to McKeldin, and then hearing it everywhere I went for the next 2 or 3 days. Like that's when I got reminded. It was like, oh yeah, this joint did drop. And then I remember hearing it from every dorm room. You know, when you used to walk up and down the dorm rooms, you walk around the dorms and you hear people with their windows open and stuff like that, or their doors open, and you could hear stuff blasting. That's what I heard for most of that week. And then that week carried into the rest of that month. That month carried into the rest of the semester, and then so on and so forth. It became really, really big. And it was big because, I mean, look at the stuff that's on this album. Look at the producers on this album. So the big thing, one, I do have to make I got to make a quick confession right here on the vault. I was hating on this album for a long time.
Oh, wow.
I was hating on this album for a long time, and let me tell you why. Unabashedly, I tell people I'm a Nas guy, right? I like Jay-Z and Nas. Yeah, I mean, I like Biggie, you know, everything, you know, but me, Nas was my guy. Because out of all the rappers that I related to more so than anything else, Nas was the rapper that I respected the most because of his flow and because of his lyricism. Like, his lyricism to me kind of set him apart from a lot of different other people. Like, he was almost poetic with his lyrics. And to me, like, rappers like that kind of always appealed to me more. Not that I didn't like Jay. I love Jay. But then when Jay and Nas were beefing and when Takeover came out, I wasn't really fucking with Jay too hard like that. I wasn't fucking with Jay at all, as a matter of fact. I couldn't deny the fact that the album was fire, but whenever I heard Takeover, my face used to frown up. Because I was like, man. And it was like that for a while. Because Takeover came out. Yeah, I know you are, Damo. I know you know.
I'm right with you.
Yeah. So whenever I would hear Takeover, and you heard Takeover for like a solid 3 months before you even got a response. You know? So I wasn't really messing with this album, a big reason because of that. But then, you know, once the battle progressed and Ether came out and then they traded their other, you know, barbs over the next couple of years, I kind of got out of my feelings and I recognized this album really for what it was. This album really did some things for the game that I think, you know, I didn't necessarily realize until later. But with Jay starting to transition from working from one set of producers to the next, because we know Jay started working with his first couple of albums. He was working with Clark Kent. He was working with Primo. He was working with DJ Ski. Producers like that. Then as he went into the new millennium, you know, Jay gets to that Roc-A-Fella era. He starts working with Pharrell. He introduces really the world to Kanye West. And he also introduces the world to Just Blaze as well. That style of production that really started bringing back like that sampling style, especially the soul records being sampled, and then the way that those records were being sampled and the way they were cut and chopped, and just like the mastery of both what you had with Kanye West and then also with Just Blaze really kind of set the tone for those next few years in the game. Because then what happened? Everybody had Kanye West and Just Blaze producing for them. That really, to me, also helped spawn getting producers like Ninth Wonder out there, you know, and then you started seeing like a lot more of that production starting to come back into style with the game. Like everybody wanted soul records sampled again. Another thing about this album when listening to it it's mixed really, really well. Like, I don't know if y'all were, like, y'all listening to it this week, that you stopped for a moment just to listen when you were either in your headphones and your speakers. I was like, yo, without a doubt, man, the engineering team, to include Young Guru, who definitely, shout out to Young Guru, did his training here at Omega in Rockville. Yo, the engineering on this joint is mixed impeccably. You know what I mean? And you can definitely hear it in the highs and in the lows and everything. This was a great mixed album. After I got out of my feelings, I understood and knew how great this album was. And I recognized that it was a piece of work that sometimes when, as an artist, you only get to make maybe once in a lifetime. If you make it twice in a lifetime, then you truly reach greatness. But this is just like a once in a lifetime, like, moment where everything sort of comes together. The time that the album dropped really just like you said, took the album to another level because of when it dropped and the significance of that date. And then as time has gone on, it's still a standard when we look at as far as how you want to put an album together when you're working with producers of that caliber. And then you take that and then take it to Jay's bars, which, I mean, even at that point, I can't even deny his bars were on a whole nother level. We'll sort of get into that when we're talking about the tracks on here. But I felt like, to me, man, he had really even stepped his MCing up to another level on this album, and it continued for at least the next couple of albums afterwards. So those are my thoughts. Yeah, I was hating on this album for a while, but I had to get out of my feelings and recognize it for what it was. You know what I mean? So definitely. So now we're going to get into highlights, man. Highlights, let me know what y'all liked, what you didn't like, overall feeling about with the track list. So, Jay, I'll go ahead and start with you, man. What are your highlights and lowlights?
Man, so many highlights on this stream, but man, I guess I'll get out of the way. Of course, Takeover. I think any Jay fan or whatever, like that's obvious as far as why, but oh yeah, one people may not really, I don't want to say fuck with like that, but really like would spark as a highlight, but like the joint You Don't Know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, matter of fact, because I remember when I first heard You Don't Know, I was I never forget, I was at matter of fact, Navy Medical Center, like, you know what I'm saying, my grandfather was in the service, he'd go up to the commissary, go shop, and there was like this one little joint where they had like electronics section at, and you know how people like had those big ass ghetto blasters we had back in college. Oh yeah, as far as in the room, so whoever this person was, which was just sent by God, had it on like 95.5, 93.9, but it was blasting You Don't Know. Yeah. My first time hearing it, like the bass on the joint was just like hitting hard as hell. You just heard like the samples come through. Like I just stopped right in the middle of the aisle. Like so had that meme mug on my face. I heard that joint. I was like, God dang, what is this? Knew it was Jay-Z, but like, oh, what album is this on? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's like the first time I played when I got the album finally. Like, you know, I just had to hear that joint again and again and again. So like, Renegade, of course. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, just like, I mean, I know everybody says like, you know, Eminem merged on your own shit, but Jay-Z definitely like held his own against like, you know what I'm saying, like people tend to forget that. Song Cry. I mean, yeah, the joint Girls. I think those would be my biggest highlights. I mean, as far as lowlights, I really can't say that I call them lowlights, but like, not so much as far as like tracks, but like it kind of gave ammunition to Cameron as far as like, you know, Jay biting people's lyrics as far as his joints. Yeah. Oh yeah. That'd be I wouldn't say low light, but like the chink in the armor that is the blueprint. I would say that was like that was what it was. You know what I'm saying? But like, really can't think of any low lights. Like, man, this song is whack. Like, really can't say anything to that degree. So that's mine. Yeah.
Damo, what about you? Highlights and lowlights? Highlights,
of course, production, lyrics. It ain't really too much lowlights, you know, everything going, you know, so, yeah, Heart of the City, that's my junk. Okay. Heart of the City, my junk right there. Yeah. After getting out my feelings, I like the Takeover. You know what I'm saying? The Ruler's back. He started off with the Ruler's back. That's a shit. That was mean to start with. The only low life to me that I really don't, if it could be an immaculate album, but I take off Jigga That Nigga. Oh yeah, yeah. You take that one off, and it is crystal album. Like Like, it's still really no skips, but if it's a song I'm going to skip on it, it is Jigga that now. Like, I can do without this one. You was playing around. So that's the only low life to me is that song right there. But then he bounced right back with your Joan, Jay. You don't know. Like, okay, now we back in business. All right. Yeah. And then it's just rock out after that.
Yeah.
Hear that? Is that America cheering or a sausage patty sizzling to perfection? It's time to cheer for Egg McMuffin and fresh cracked eggs at McDonald's. It's time to wake up to the aroma of freshly baked biscuits and treat yourself to a real honest-to-goodness morning meal. Breakfast, it's on at McDonald's. Now get any breakfast sandwich for just $2. Available only through the app. Mobile order and pay available at participating McDonald's. McD app download and registration required.
At T-Mobile, we believe in putting people first by treating them right. So we've upped the benefits without upping the price. With Magenta Max, you get our best plan for 5G with unlimited premium data that can't slow down based on how much smartphone data you use. Plus, you'll pay zero cost to switch. And bring your phone. We'll pay it off up to $800. Only at T-Mobile.
Capable device required for 5G. Activate up to 4K or video streams at 480p. 40 gigs high-speed tethering. Up to $800 via virtual prepaid card. Allow 15 days. Support charges waived. See details at T-Mobile.com.
And that you don't know the joint, man. Then they had the remix with him and MOP. It's like, that joint, when I first heard it, I think I almost like took, if I had a sledgehammer in my room, I probably would have busted my entire room up. Yo, that joint just
straight fire.
Yo, that's to me a Just Blaze. That's still that's probably a top 5 Just Blaze beat of all time, bro. Like,
I'm putting top 3 for Just Blaze.
Top 3,
bro.
yeah. It might be. So the rest of my highlights, man, obvious. You don't know. I mean, the build up on that joint just is like, it's unprecedented. I mean, by the time that beat drops, it's like, it's like shut the front door, throw the keys away, like that's it. Heart of the City, that track in particular, it really does a lot for me, man, because it's the sample, but then it's Jay's flow on that joint. And he's talking about, like, certain things have happened, how shit has changed, and, how he's going through it. He really kind of takes you on a journey through that. But then, like, you get to the songs, like, obviously, like, Renegade. I mean, Renegade, of course, would be a favorite of anybody who's on there. And, yes, 20 years after the fact, we do actually understand that Eminem, sorry, Nas, Eminem did not actually murder Jay on his own shit. He definitely went for it. I think, honestly, I do think he raps better than Jay on this, but somebody sort of broke it down to me like this. What you have with Renegade with Jay and Eminem is really basically two troops coming from two different places as far as what they was talking about. And I think that sums it up perfectly. But what you had was two MCs that were really at the top of their game, really going for it on that joint. And there's highlights for both of them on both of their verses. But then when you get into other tracks, like, you even get into like a song like Never Change and Song Cry, which is the hook on that. Just like, I can't see it coming out my eyes, so I got to let the song cry. I mean, just the songwriting though on this album altogether. But even when you get into tracks like, like I said, like Mama Loves Me, and, with songs like Girls, 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 really inventive writing when you talk about, like, how he tells the story about these women and, the different type of women he's dealing with. I have to agree with y'all. If I did have to skip a track on this joint, it would have to be Jigga That Nigga. Just Poke and Tone sound a little out of place with everybody else on here. You know what I mean? I mean, props to the track masters. They've done some stuff over the years, definitely that's bang, but I think to me, it's a little bit of a choice that's out of place. If anything's out of place on this album, it would probably be that.
Wait, so would you say like, this might be suited more for like a soundtrack or some other type joint rather than this album, or just like,
yeah, I think like this is something that probably would have been suited better for like, like Blueprint 2 or like, something like that, or Roc-A-Fella Familia. You're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. Like, you could have taken this joint out, and then instead of making Breathe Easy a hidden track, you could have made that like one of the regular joints. And even Breathe Easy is another banger by Just Blaze, just going out there, going after it. And Jay out there spitting some classic bars on that. you know. So, but really, man, the songwriting and production on here is great. Like I said, engineering, mixing is. I let this play in the car, so I played it twice. I played it once through the headphones this week, and then I played it in the car. And the car test we know is king, but hearing it, and you know, some of the things we deal with, and Jay, you can appreciate this. When you hear albums back in the day, sometimes they're not really mixed that well, but you can tell the ones that have been mixed really well. When you play them, you can definitely hear that crisp sound. You know what I'm saying? The bass isn't muddy. It doesn't like overmodulate or anything. So yeah, that's to me is one of the highlights, man. The mixing on here. Again, shout out to Young Guru. Yeah, so those are my highlights. Really not a low light. I mean, the jig of that nigga thing, yeah, but like you said, he comes and backs it up right there with You Don't Know, picks right up again with Whole Lot of Veto, then right into Heart of the City, Ain't No Love, you know? So right when you get to that track 6 all the way down to like track 12, I mean, it's a rough ride, and you know, they keep going and they keep their foot on the gas pedal. So great job sequencing this as well. So here we are, fellas. Notable quotables. One of the harder jobs I've had to do in the last few albums. So y'all got one y'all want to share? What you got, Damo? You got a notable quotable you want to share with us?
Of course, you got to.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I got to go to my jump.
Okay.
Heart of the City.
Okay.
And then the Fuji's going to break up. Now, every day I wake up, somebody got something to say. What's all the fussing for? Because I'm grabbing more and I pack heat like I'm the oven door.
Mm-hmm.
Niggas pray and pray on my downfall, but every time I hit the ground, I bounce back like round ball. I can keep going through the whole joke.
Yeah.
That's my whole joke right there. You know, when he hit it with I scramble like Randall with his, kind of hand with the only thing running is numbers, fam.
Yeah.
Jigga held you down 6 summers. Damn, where's the love?
Yeah. Scramble with Ramble with his. Yeah. Yeah, that's it right there, man. Jay, what about you? What's your notable quotable?
Man, I actually had a couple, but I'll start with Renegade, and it's actually be a Jay-Z, obviously Jay-Z's verse, but excuse me. He was like, I had to hustle, my back to the wall, ashy knuckles, pockets filled with a lot of lint, not a cent, got a vent, a lot of innocent lives lost in the project bins, which you hollering, got paid rent, bring dollars in, buy the bodega, iron under my coat, feeling braver, do-rag wrapping my waves up, pockets full of hope, do not step to me off with a box left me, and off my pops left me, and off my mama wasn't home, like, that wordplay right there, just like, God damn, that was definitely like a straight up rewind moment, and then, of course, gotta go to my joint, You Don't Know, and like, and I'm having flashbacks like that screw face I had, like, you know, so I was listening to that joint by verse 3.
Yeah.
I mean, was it verse 3? Not verse 4. It was a short joint, just like, I sell ice in the winter, I'll sell fire in hell, I'm a hustler, baby, I'll sell water to a well. Like, just the...
I said water to a well, yeah.
It's like the double entendre with that. Does he mean well, like, you know what I'm saying?
Like a water well, or a whale like a whale?
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah, man. That's the one thing. Jay's definitely good for the double and triple entendres. Yeah. So I got a couple of notable quotables too, and my first one actually is from the first verse of Never Change. You know, he says, I am a rock representer, Hove, some of the winner, Hove, dead or alive, 24/7, 365, one CD or 360 pies. What's up to Ian Kirk? Welcome home to Taj. Let no money amount ruin this thing of ours. We run the street light, drunks run street lights. We collide with life as we speak. We need deep in coke, we keep deep in ice. We flood the streets with dope, we keep weed to smoke. We all fish, better teach your folk. Give him money to eat, the next week he's broke. Because when you sleep, he's reaching for your throat. Word on the street, you reap what you sow. Not out of fear, but love for the game. We rock family first, we never change, man. You know, a lot of things to unpack in that one verse. Is that he says, we all fish, better teach your folk, give him money to eat, the next week he's broke. Like the whole thing about give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Then teach him how to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. And he's like, you know, you give him money to eat, the next week he's broke. And then when you sleep, he's reaching for your throat. You know what I mean? Trying to take yours. So that's, man, it's just like I said, I think he really took a step up on this album. But my second one is obviously with with Renegade, and it's with M's first verse. And I think, to me, like, at this point, is like, I think one of the most poignant verses that M did. You know, since I'm in a position to talk to these kids and they listen, I ain't no politician, but I'll kick it with them a minute. Because when they call me a menace, and if the shoe fits, I wear it. But if it don't, then y'all will swallow the truth, grin, and bear it. Now, who's the king of these rude, ludicrous, lucrative lyrics? Who could inherit the title? Put the youth in hysterics, using his music to steer it, sharing his views and his merits. But there's a huge interference. They saying you shouldn't hear it. Maybe it's hatred I spew. Maybe it's food for the spirit. Maybe it's beautiful music I made for you to just share it. But I'm debated, disputed, hated, and viewed in America as a motherfucking drug addict. Like you didn't experiment. Now. When you start to stare who's in the mirror and see yourself as a kid again, and you get embarrassed, but I got nothing to do to make you look stupid as parents. You fucking do good is too bad. You couldn't do good at marriage. And do you have any clue what I had to do to get here? I don't think you do. Stay tuned and keep your ears glued to the stereo, because here we go. Because see the I'm the sinister Mr. Kiss My Ass is just the renegade. Yeah. But just the things that he said in that verse, you know, the fact that he was talking about some, you know, people are saying you shouldn't hear my music. You know, say I spew hatred. Some people say that it's food for the spirit. Maybe I just made music for you to be able to cherish, but you talk about me so much in America as a drug addict, but y'all acting like y'all didn't never do drugs before, you know? So, I mean, it's just, and he was really at the peak where he was really, Eminem was problematic for America and for the census in America because of the stuff that he was saying in his songs. You know what I mean? So I think it was apt that they came together, the two of them, to make this and to make a song called Renegade over a beat like that too, by the way, which is, I mean,
and you grow up and you realize he was right. Kidnap your baby mama, put her in the trunk.
Not kidnap her and put her in the trunk, though. Not kidnap her and put her in the trunk.
Mama go night night. You go, he's your baba.
Yeah.
I feel you now, Eminem. I feel you.
Oh man. Oh boy. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, man. Lots of good memories talking about this album. Now, for those of y'all who are listening, by the time this comes out, you all should be ready to hear the Breaking Atoms podcast. Obviously, we all know they did earlier this year the 5-part series, Brooklyn Finest, The Making of Reasonable Doubt. And that was an awesome, awesome audio documentary. All the people that they talked to, was well produced. The things that you learned and the nuggets that were dropped there, things that many of us who were even hardcore Jay-Z fans didn't necessarily know. But they are getting ready to drop, and they will drop their Blueprint series. So make sure y'all checking it out. Again, following them on social media at Break the Atoms, but the Breaking Atoms podcast available on all service providers. Based out of the UK, my guys Sumit Sharma and Chris Mitchell did an awesome job with the Reasonable Doubt series. I know they're doing an awesome job with the Blueprint series, so make sure y'all go check that out, man. I'm really, really looking forward to see what they came up with for this joint, because I definitely, during my interview with them, talked to them and asked them what we should expect. And they said, don't expect anything like the Reasonable Doubt series. So definitely make sure y'all stay tuned. Cool. Well, gents, here we are, man. The final test, the test of time to see what we think it is. Is it a certified classic, borderline classic, classic just in its time, or not a classic at all? And a rating of 7 to 10. 7, we don't feel as strongly about it. 10, we feel as strongly about it. So I'll start with you, Jay. What say you?
Classic, bro. You know what I mean? I'm going 10 out of 10 with that.
Mm-hmm. Damo?
Certified. Bona fide. With that, I'm right with Jay. 10 for 10.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Certified classic. 10 out of 10 for me as well.
What?
The legacy of this album, man, it's crazy how it has changed, even in the years that it's come out. Like, we talk about, like, on these lists that they have, they talk about the best albums of all time. So on the Rolling Stone magazine, on the initial list in 2003, they had the 500 greatest albums of all time. There was 464. And the revised list in 2012 was ranked 252. And the list that just came out last year, it was ranked number 50. So let's give this some context. When the Rolling Stones put out an album, this isn't hip-hop albums of all time. These are albums of all time. So we're talking about all the great music. We throw in there Stevie Wonder, throw in the Rolling Stones, throw in the Beatles, throw in Michael Jackson, throw in Prince. Anybody, any other artist of any genre, the music that Rolling Stone has covered, they said this is the 50th best album of all time. That is crazy to me.
Is this like the highest rap album on Rolling Stone?
You know what? I have to check that list, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's close to the best rap album on that list. I have a feeling there may be another one that might be on there, but if that's ranked at number 50, I'd love to see what Reasonable Doubt is ranked as. You know?
Yeah. So see what Illmatic is. So
yeah.
It was written.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just really, man, it is an album that has only gotten better with time. It's something that, shoot, even if you play now, it's not an album that can really go out of style. Like,
it's not.
You're not really going to listen to that, and people going to be like, man, turn that old shit off. Like, nah, don't. Like, even people who were younger than us can rock to this album. And it really, to me, kind of shows how far ahead of its time. And then it changed, really, how producers decided that they want to sample and how they wanted to make beats, because then everybody was trying to replicate that sound that they were getting on albums like Blueprint and the Black Album, you know? But you couldn't, because the producers that were replicating that sound, you weren't Kanye West, you weren't Just Blaze, you know? You had to have a special sort of skill set in order to get that done. But yeah, man, certified classic, 10 out of 10, clean sweep across the board, a rarity that we've had this year on the vault, man. So Blueprint, 20 years old, Jay-Z, make sure y'all go check it out wherever y'all can get albums. Make sure y'all listen to it. If you got it on vinyl, definitely play it out on some vinyl, chill out and have a drink and smoke a cigar, smoke something else, you know what I mean? So definitely. That is going to wrap up yet another edition of The Vault. Please make sure that you check us out on our host on Red Circle. You can also download, stream, and subscribe to the Vault Classic Music Reviews on any one of our streaming sources. If you go to the link in any one of our social media pages in the bio, you'll get to our link tree. There you'll see all of our streaming sources and, of course, all of our social media pages. Again, you can follow The Vault on Instagram on @VaultCMR Podcast, on Twitter @Vault Classic, and on Facebook and YouTube, you can search the Vault Classic Music Reviews Podcast. Like the Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, interact with us on social media. Let us know what you think. We do it here all for you. We appreciate the support, and if you have a friend, tell a friend, and make sure that that friend tells a friend. Always remember to keep your headphones on and your music loud, but not too loud. And as we close, we'd like to remind everyone to dream big, because dreams are the basis for creation. Always create, motivate, and elevate, because you were never destined or created to stay stationary in this life. And on that note, we say peace.
Thank you for listening and coming into The Vault. Please subscribe and follow us on Facebook at IV Creative and Instagram at IVECRE8.
Hear that? Is that America cheering or a sausage patty sizzling to perfection? It's time to cheer for Egg McMuffin and fresh cracked eggs at McDonald's. It's time to wake up to the aroma of freshly baked biscuits and treat yourself to a real honest-to-goodness morning meal. Breakfast, it's on at McDonald's. Now get any breakfast sandwich for just $2. Available only through the app. Mobile order and pay available at participating McDonald's. McD app download and registration required.
At T-Mobile, we believe in putting people first by treating them right. So we've upped the benefits without upping the price. With Magenta Max, you get our best plan for 5G with unlimited premium data that can't slow down based on how much smartphone data you use. Plus, you'll pay zero cost to switch. And bring your phone. We'll pay it off up to $800. Only at T-Mobile.
Capable device required for 5G. Activate up to 4K or video streams at 480p. 40 gigs high-speed tethering. Up to $800 via virtual prepaid card. Allow 15 days. Support charges waived. See details at T-Mobile.com.